Well, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
And last Tuesday we looked at Rat Fink.
We did.
We've got several Rat Finks around here. This is Dragnut. But Revell did all these great kits of Ed Big Daddy Roth's cartoon figures, the most famous of which is Rat Fink in Karen's building. Rat Fink. And she loves Rat Fink. I mean, it's a long-standing.
There's a long
I'm not jealous.
No, because that's how
I'm
we
not
met.
a very jealous. Yeah, because Rat Fink introduced
Rat
us.
Fink is our little Cupid that brought us together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's building that one. Anyway, this week we want to talk about somebody else who is doing Rat Fink art. Because when that took off, when the monsters took off, and the monster T-shirts, and
There's even monster cartoons and
Ed
stuff.
Roth. Well, a little backstory here. Ed Roth kind of originated the idea of painting the monsters on the T-shirts, but then it turns out he kind of borrowed the idea from Walt Disney. It seems that T-shirts were just underwear, and they were predominantly worn by Navy sailors in World War II.
Yeah.
And they were called T because they're shaped like a T, with the arms sticking out.
Right.
And you were not supposed to wear them. It'd be like wearing your boxer shorts in public. You were supposed to wear your T-shirt in public.
Wear your T-shirt under your shirt.
Well, these sailors, that'd get, all hot and everything out in the Pacific, and they'd take off their outer shirt, and they'd just be seen on the ship in their T-shirt. And, well, that's sexier than a fireman, right?
Oh, boy.
So, and then after the war, James Dean and Marlon Brando both appeared in movies wearing nothing but a T-shirt. Well, that was that. If you were a hot rodder, if you were a biker, if you were cool,
You were tough. You rolled your...
you took off the collared shirt and you just had on your undershirt, your T. And the Walt Disney Studios went, what if we put Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck? So they did a whole series of just plain white T-shirts with their characters on the front for kids.
So that's where that came from.
Because an adult would never do that. For just
Right.
kids. And when Ed saw that, he went, I hate Mickey Mouse, and he put Rat Fink on there.
I see.
So there's the evolution of the Rat Fink T-shirt. Anyway, after that became such a big thing and the whole country was going nuts for Rat Fink and all of these things, a whole bunch of other artists kind of came out of the woodwork painting knockoffs,
Something like that.
homages, similar monsters, and putting them on T-shirts and doing essentially what Ed Roth was doing. And Bill Campbell was probably the best known of those, and he called his creatures the weirdos.
The weirdos.
The weirdos.
We actually did that same thing. I remember getting a hold of my dad's T-shirt. He didn't know that I did. It was the Trichem liquid embroidery, so I was kind of doing the same thing. I created my own T-shirts too.
Me too. Yeah. Well, it was.
Anybody else out there do
And
that?
I wanted to wear my Rat Fink T-shirt to school, and it was like slacks and a button-down collar, or we're sending you home. And I was so
there's
ticked
something
off.
called
I
a
wanted.
dress code back then.
We had a dress code, and you could not wear any T-shirt of any kind, not a color, not any. This would get you kicked out of school.
Yes.
And I wanted to wear this to school.
As long as you had your button-down shirt over the top of it, and all it was peeking was his eyeballs over the... Yeah.
Yeah, you could get away with that because a T-shirt was underwear, but you could not wear it. No,
Yeah.
I think in some parts of the country you could get arrested for walking around in a T-shirt.
Yeah.
It was just considered
See, by the time I
crude
was in
and
high school,
uncouth.
they'd relaxed that rule a little bit.
Well, can you imagine today? By today, I mean the universal human dress code is Levi's and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
You can go to the New Hebrides Islands,
And
and
wearing
everybody's
that.
wearing jeans and a T-shirt.
Right.
It's just taken over.
Well, except when I was in high school, I had one that had the cute little Hams bear with the kind of Hams beer on it.
I've
I wore
seen
it
those
to
pictures.
school.
I've seen those pictures.
Today you wouldn't get away with
You
that.
get kicked out. Yeah,
I can't have anything
I
like
couldn't.
that.
All the way. Finally, in high school, they started sort of relaxing the dress code. Only the era. It wasn't because it was high school.
Yeah, by the time I got to high school, it was really, they'd relaxed it a lot, thank goodness.
Anyway, I want to show you a couple of Campbell's pieces, and so Hawk models, one of the lesser known, Revell was doing the Rat Finks and stuff, and the Ed Roth models. Hawk wanted to capitalize on the whole thing, and the weirdos were more like real people. So you can see here, these are beatniks. Right? These are the frantic cats.
The beatniks.
The frantic cats. And just for fun.
Which would have a whole nother meaning today, and then the frantic cats.
Oh, the frantic cats.
That's got to be like early 60s.
Let's open this one because we can.
Guess what
Now you'll notice it has a barcode, which is to say this is a re-release.
It's a re-release.
Yeah, the original. But none of these have ever been all that collectible, no matter what.
Oh, look at all this.
But you
That
can
has
see
more than 9 pieces.
this has more than Rat Fink. Yeah, it was 9 pieces.
This is probably closer to 18.
But these were just regular people, but they were kind of
Characterized.
caricatures.
Yeah. Ooh.
Caricatures of real
Yes.
people. But if we look at the instructions here, look at that. Mm-hmm. There's several different pieces, and there's even a painting guide,
Oh boy.
so that you can get the hair color right and everything. It's still just, as kids, my brother coined an expression. There was I think it was in Popular Mechanics, there was a section in there called Wordless Workshop, and it was just how to fix a car without any text. And it was like, and it was like, what are you, illiterate? Just say, turn the wrench. Don't show the wrench with a little arrow. Well, pretty soon, all of the model car instructions were looking like this. And so my brother coined the expression, worthless workshop. Because we, even as second graders, we thought that,
That was kind of odd.
just show me the text. I know how to read. I've been working on it now for 3 years. I know my vowels and consonants and everything. Just let me read it.
I think you lost his pate there. What is
Okay,
that?
so I'm not
His
sure
kneecap?
what
Oh,
that
I know what it is.
is. Is it his nose?
No,
Looks possibly obscene.
it is. I don't think we better show this on TV
This is
because
a
they're small
foot.
children. This
is
isn't a foot.
And here's a bunch of other shoes, and there's a cat.
Oh, there is a cat.
Yeah, so this one comes with a cat. Well, because these guys are the frantic cats.
Uh-huh.
So we've got the 2 beatniks
Yep.
playing they've got a transistor radio and some 45 records. And
That's
they're-
RPM records, not
I don't know if
45
they're
in number.
dancing the Holy Gully or just what they're up to. But
Shift.
The shift.
Mashed potatoes.
It's like Cool Daddy-O.
Uh-huh.
It was like an
Yeah.
era, man.
Yeah, this is
It
kind
was
of
just-
the frontal. That part.
Oh, it's breasts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I say to keep abreast on your
Keep abreast
project.
of your
Mhm.
model. So these are a lot more complicated than an Ed Roth Rat Fink. Here's
Yeah,
the
look
actual.
at that shoe. Oh man,
gonna-
somebody has my foot
I'm going to break the guy's head off here.
right there. That's what I look like dressed up when I put a dress on, and that ski right there. That's yeah.
Okay, let's line up the lips,
Oh, there it is.
and there it is.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. Well, and it's so funny because it really looks like a lot of teenage kids.
It's got beatnik bangs
Uh-huh.
and a nose, and look at the great big huge lips and
And the beginnings of a beard.
the beginnings of a beard. You just have to get some little tiny steel wool and put there or something, because
You don't even need that with a kid that
adolescents
age.
don't
Adolescent,
make.
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, back then, I think they sprout out a little
And
quicker.
somewhere here is the girl's face. Mm-hmm. But
Wow, that's cute.
these were the Bill Campbell weirdos. Mm-hmm. And then they evolved. I mean, they kind of started off more as just real people, and then they kind of became more like monsters
Yeah.
in the vein of Ed Big Daddy Roth. That kind of moved in that. But they never became Rat Finkish. They never really became monsters.
Sort of like Monster High School for our younger people tuning in.
Yeah.
But sort of like those characters. Like,
But these kits again were a huge home run this time for Hawk models, and And they just kept knocking them out and knocking them out and knocking them out. So this first series here, there's 4 of them, and they're all beatniks. So there's
there it is.
there's some beatniks there, and they've got guitars. Well, the one's got a banjo
I like that
and
one.
the guitar and an amplifier, because there's this thing called an
Anybody's ever had
amplifier.
teenagers that are want to be in the part of a band.
Dinshig, I guess is how that's pronounced. Totally fab.
Instead of shindig,
This
it's
was
dinshig.
yeah.
Yeah, instead of shindig.
The Fantastics.
Oh, the Frantics, fantastic.
Frantics,
Say that
yeah.
fast 5 times.
Oh, and this was my favorite.
I know that guy.
The bongo guy. God, what was his name? But he was a bongo
Ah, the bongo. Besides, what's his name? Desi Arnaz, but that's not Desi Arnaz.
I have a weird theory that I have to share with everybody very briefly, very briefly. I think the beatniks originated hip-hop music. Okay, I know that sounds stupid and insane, but the beats were poets. They were street poets, and they could not do their beat poetry unless there was a beat. Hence the name Beat Poets. And then as a derogatory, they added nicks, the beatniks. But they just called themselves the Beats and the Beat Poets. And they'd get out their bongo drums and they'd and then they'd recite their poem. And that's about that far removed, when you think about it, from hip-hop music. I
Exactly.
mean, yeah.
See, if you watch Mr. Holland's opus, he explains all of that.
Explains
The
all that,
history of
yeah.
music.
The history of music.
Rock and roll.
Anyway, there you go. So these are the Hawks, and they just kept knocking these out and knocking these out, because as long as people were willing to buy them, and then Ideal Toy Company, not to be outdone, bought the rights to some of these characters, and they just did them as solid cast models that you would just figures that you would just paint.
Just paint them.
So if you were into Hammond's Hammond, no
Campbell.
Campbell.
He's thinking of organs.
Yeah. If you're into if you're into Campbell's figures, like the soup,
And not the Campbell's kids. No.
not the
that's
Campbell's kids,
Something way different.
but he had this whole universe of different people and characters,
fun.
and there were so many different
They're
versions
fun.
of them
Yeah.
available as plastic models and figures and stuff.
You know, and this sort of thing's been going on for a long time, just to take off on people in general.
And just like the Ed Roths, these have been re-released and re-released and re-released over and over and over.
They're
again.
fun.
So.
Assemble
So
one, you'll see somebody you know.
They are literally a dime a dozen. I think brand new off the shelf they go for like $2.50. So yeah,
wow.
there's not much to it.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Well, anyway, if you haven't been over to the channel, that's a tunnel.
That's
if
in
you
England.
haven't been over to the channel, well, it's in
channel.
France too,
Oh, does it
and
connect
mostly
the two?
it's
Yeah, it's down under.
I have to digress very, very quickly. But I was living in France at the time, and they were talking about doing the channel, and everybody was arguing over it, and the British were so against it. And the principal argument on the part of the British, are you ready for it? Not that it was dangerous or anything like that. Well, it just isn't done. And everybody was going, no, it isn't.
It just isn't
One
done.
does not go under the channel, one goes across the channel. It just
Isn't done.
isn't done. And that was their argument again. And I'm sorry, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, you can do that with the blue button. And that is done.
Of course.
So if you're ready to do what is done, click on the blue button. Are we ready for it? Zoink! Right there, the blue button.
You just push it.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here on Sunday. We'll see you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.